So the North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, September 24th, 2024 is now called to order. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-6 at SEEK, adequate notice of the meeting has been provided by submission of notice at the time, date, and location of the Star Ledger on December 5, 2023, and the Hunterdon County Democrat on December 7, 2023. Notice and, to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting have been posted at North Hunterdon High School and Voorhees High School, provided to the municipal clerks of Bethlehem Township, California Borough, Town of Clinton, Clinton Township, Franklin Township, Glen Gardner Borough, Hampton Borough, Highbridge Borough, Lebanon Borough, Lebanon Township, Tewksbury Township, and Union Township, as well as other interested parties, and posted on the district website. Fire exits are located in the directions indicated. If alerted to fire, please move in a common orderly fashion to the nearest smoke exit. Please silence your cell phones, and a roll call.
Ms. Hagman? Here. Mr. Chapman?
Here.
Ms. Gallo? Here. Ms. Nix? Here. Ms. Cotran? Here. Mr. McIsaac?
Here.
Mr. Mielek?
Here.
Ms. Reyes?
Here.
Ms. Salino?
Here.
Mr. Stanton is
Absent.
absent. Ms. Viado? Here. And Mr. Parvanish?
Here. Flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I need a motion and second to approve agenda item 4.1, which is the minutes from our August 13th board meeting. Beth and fine. So any comments? I know, Nicole, you had comments.
Yeah,
Yep.
I did. Looking through the comment for regarding the memorandum of understanding, I just wanted to, when I went back to listen to the tape, exactly the discussion, I just wanted a little bit more to be said in there, more so to be included, potential government overreach could impede on parental rights. I wanted to put something more in there stating, because it just pretty much says that I was concerned just the way it would be initiate, how it would be, how it provides how the district may recommend this to families. There was more than that. So I just feel that I'm very strong-minded about this. I think it's a potential problem, and I want it to be noted in the minutes. And I didn't catch it before, so I don't know. For some reason, I didn't look through it. So that could be possibly updated.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll have tonight's minutes reflect, right, Nicole's elaboration on her comments from the prior meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Here? Okay.
Glenn? I also noticed on, when I was looking through the minutes, under Community Relations and Student Affairs, I was just concerned that we didn't really translate exactly what transpired in conversation amongst us board members, as the board as a whole.
So
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
So I quickly saw your email. So yeah, I wasn't.
Yes.
So I
was
quickly went through the
concerned.
minutes and I went through your email fast, and I wasn't quite sure. What I'm not saying was wrong. I'm not quite sure what you think was not elaborated on. Sorry, I'm not saying it's wrong.
I felt like there was, not that I felt, there was a lot of dialogue, and the minutes don't reflect that. It doesn't reflect the dialogue that took place. It only reflects as though I had a question about the process, and it wasn't, it's implied that there was a process in place. Like when you read the minutes, it appears as though there was a process in place already, and that we did not do anything about it. And I don't feel that we should give that perception.
So I'm not going to put words in your. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jess. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask, in what part of the previous minutes were we supposed to be looking for that?
13, Community Relations.
In the previous minutes? Because I'm looking at the minutes, so maybe I'm on the wrong
August
minutes.
13th. The August 13th.
August 13th.
The
Section
August-
13.
We don't have minutes.
Go to your board agenda. Click into your minutes.
I have my board agenda. I have the
Go.
minutes from August 13th.
So I think it's
And-
down.
I have a question about that. So With the minutes, then, do we look for all the questions that we're posing, or is it usually a summary?
So I think,
We're discussing
so
a lot,
yeah, so
and
I
had
think, yeah,
questions
so I
that
think, I think
posed
one
to
comment
you.
we have to be clear on, right, is that minutes are not a dictation of a meeting, right? I mean, I think, you know, the intent of our minutes is to capture the, you know, at a high level of the discussion, but not to every minutia, right? We certainly videotape this,
Yeah.
right, which is why you're seeing, right, you know, I saw your email, but it's not a dictation. You know, I think if you see something in the minutes in our review of the prior week that is wrong, right, and I certainly look for my comments, I didn't say that, and I think there's a clarification. But this isn't, we shouldn't be trying to create this into a dictation. That's not to say,
Yeah.
I think your comment, if I understood, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, the process, there was a process at our schools for parents to ask the librarians to opt their child out of a receiving book. It wasn't well known. I think that's correct. That's correct. Right, and so this school year, we made sure it was a formal process that we announced to the schools. Is that accurate?
So yes, there was an informal process that was never used.
Well, I can't, I don't.
Well, we
I'm not
don't
gonna
know if
speak-
it
yeah, I'm not
was
gonna say I don't
used,
know if it's
right?
used.
Do you
No,
know?
it was stated that it was never used.
I don't think that was the correct context.
I don't think
It wasn't
so
public.
either.
The
I think it wasn't
context
public,
was that
yeah.
it had not been taken advantage of.
Right.
Not that
Correct,
it.
correct,
Okay,
that, right, so it
it
was,
doesn't mean it wasn't there, it just means
I
that
didn't say
students
that.
didn't take advantage. No, but you were just saying though that it implied that
Yeah.
no one used
So-
it, but you have to identify the context as meaning
That's-
that it wasn't
So-
opted for by a student or
that's
parent.
not here nor there, really. My concern is that I don't want it to be posed as though we had a process in place, which there really wasn't a formal process in place. And when you read the minutes, it doesn't appear that way. That was my concern.
So is it fair to characterize that there was a process that wasn't formalized to parents to the extent that we've done it this time?
Yeah, again,
Right,
just
but I
like
think that's
Right,
what,
'cause
But I think that's what it says, but
the
I'm not trying
minutes
to.
say exactly that. That there was provided an informal procedure was in place to in place for parents to email the librarian with the request. The opt-out procedure has now been communicated to parents advising of the procedure. So,
I think what, I'm assuming, Cynthia, if I don't, let me put words in your mouth, but you're saying that this was like the first time that we're actually hearing that this was a process, and that we, for the last how many years, this book thing has been going on, which never was mentioned. So.
There was a lot more dialogue
Right.
that day, and I just wanted to make sure and make clear, yes.
Okay.
John, is it possible for you to clarify maybe in a little bit more detail about minutes and again, reiterate maybe how?
And by no means do I
Glenn
expect it to
explained.
be dictated.
No, and I
as
didn't mean,
far
I
as-
didn't,
yeah.
I wasn't, yeah, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Cynthia, but I'm just, no, yeah, well, that's correct, right? So it's certainly not a dictation, right? I
Correct.
think it's a high-level summary of the points that we discussed, right? If there's something wrong with what was written, and I don't think anyone is saying that either case there was something wrong. I know, Nick, you wanted to elaborate on your comment.
Yeah.
And I think, Cynthia, to your comment, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I think your concern wasn't, maybe we didn't elaborate completely what was happening. I think if it's wrong, we need to do it, but I don't think, we can't make this a dictation, right? That's certainly not what Katie's job is.
But
And
the minutes aren't intended to be a
they're not supposed to be,
dictation.
they're not supposed to be dictation.
right.
That's
No,
not what
that's
minutes
right.
are for.
Right.
That's why we have a video and that's why we
Right.
publish that. If somebody wants to go in depth to what happened at the meeting, they can drill right into our meeting video. But I
But I
don't,
think what she's saying, maybe I'm, again, not putting words, are you questioning what you had stated and what's reflected in the minutes?
Well, it
Because
says-
maybe that's what it
says
is, and
Reyes
I don't
asked
understand.
whether there had previously been a procedure in place that allowed parents to opt their student out from library books. I merely brought up, so I wanted to understand better. I want to have a better understanding of what the process was, because that was not clear since none of us really knew about it.
But why is it relevant as to what happened in the past? We're moving forward now, and what's
We're
relevant is what
reviewing
we're doing
minutes,
now.
and it says that I asked whether there had previously been a procedure in place.
I think you
And
did ask.
You did ask that?
And it was communicated
I
that
said-
it was informal, and that a more... and
That
we
it's now in a
communicated now.
permanent,
I mentioned, so with the opt-out with books, it was mentioned last month that there was a procedure in place. And then from there is where the conversations took place amongst all of us as board members.
right.
Yes, I think, so the character, I think there was
So I
an
don't
informal,
understand
there was an
why.
informal procedure in place that wasn't publicized as well as it was this past fall.
My concern was that it was going to be perceived as though we had a procedure.
And it
in
wasn't
place
being...
based on what is here. That's it,
Okay.
nothing else.
May I ask, do your comments tonight, which are now part of this record, clarify that record sufficiently?
I would say so, yes,
Okay.
because now we're discussing it, and
Right.
that's the beauty of it. It's the beauty of a
Okay.
discussion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you for bringing it up, Sophia.
Okay.
I didn't notice that.
Any other comments? Okay. So all in favor of the minutes? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
One abstention.
One abstention. Two abstentions. Okay. Okay, moving on to the Chief Administrator's report.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Before I begin the superintendent's report, on behalf of the Board of Education and the entire North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District, I would like to express our sincere and heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of Sophia DeTorres. Every person I spoke to about Sophia described her as a shining light, and I know those closest to her will carry that light in their hearts for the rest of their lives. Please join me in a moment of silence for Sophia DeTorres. All right, for my superintendent's report, first I'd like to send congratulations to Voorhees High School senior Garrett Stem and North Hunterdon High School seniors Pranab Shankar and Matthew Strauss, who were all named semifinalists in the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Competition. Finalists who will receive scholarships will be announced in the spring, and a press release for this is on our district website with more information. I also want to say congratulations to Olympia Lake, who placed first, Lillian Balzer, who placed second, and Isla Blackenbush, who placed third in the NAMI Hunterdon County Expressive Arts Contest 2024. The NAMI Hunterdon Board received submissions ranging from essays to paintings to songs recorded, and each piece submitted was an exemplary reflection of talent, empathy, and expression that defines a passion for understanding the vitality of mental health awareness. So congratulations to all of those students. The North Hunterdon-Voorhees College Fair was held at North Hunterdon, but it's for both of our schools, North and Voorhees, on September 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. We had over 100 schools represented in attendance, and from what I understand, it was well attended by our students and our parents as well. So congratulations, thank you, Mike. He does a lot of work to make sure that happens. Both homecoming dances are coming up. Voorhees has theirs on Saturday, September 18th, and North has theirs on Saturday, October 5th. So we're excited for those. The report that I have for harassment, intimidation, and bullying this month is that we had 2 cases, one at North, one at Voorhees. One was unfounded and one was founded. And then there's a call and a motion for second, but there were none, so if you want to call.
All right, so I need a call for a motion second to affirm the determinations on the HIB incident report reported at the August 13th, 2024 board meeting. As you said, there were none, but first,
So moved.
Jess,
Second.
Beth, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
Okay. And for your information, there's a school bus emergency evacuation drill reports for North Hunterdon and Voorhees. Both happen on the same day. We do those twice a year. And then there's the monthly reports for your information as well.
Thanks. So every year we have student representatives on our board. The process at a high level is the students apply to the principals, and then ultimately there's a ballot among the students. So this year we have 4 new students. From Voorhees, we have Sarah Schwerk, Audrey Devine, and from North, we have Shivan Patel and Amelia Reitman. So I'd love it if all 4 of you introduce yourselves and tell us about yourselves. And thank you, by the way, for doing this.
Hi everyone, my name is Shivan Patel. I'm really excited to take this position as student board rep to represent my peers and just my school as a whole from the student body perspective. Just some things about me. I'm the senior class president at North. I participate in a lot of community service-based clubs like student ambassadors, student council, Key Club, Interact Club. I'm also a peer leader at North. I'm a swimmer and I throw for track at North. I work part-time as a lifeguard and supervisor for the outdoor pool at Health Quest. And yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amelia Reitman. I'm the alternate for the North representative. I'm really excited to have this opportunity as well. I've been watching these board meetings since I was in middle school virtually, so it's fun to be able to be here in person. Just a little bit about myself. I'm Vice President of North Key Club as well as Youth Secretariat for Model United Nations. I'm also involved in running the Environmental Club at our school, and I'm a member of the Clinton Township Environmental Commission. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Schwerk. I'm here as the representative for Voorhees. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, just especially as a senior, as my time is winding down. I want to be able to be involved as much as I can. A little bit more about myself. I play volleyball at Voorhees. I'm a member of our Lifesavers Club as well as a peer mentor in SHIP. I also work part-time at the local patisserie Sweet Melissa's. Oh. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Hi everyone, my name is Audrey Devine. I was elected to be an alternate for student representatives from Voorhees. I'm excited to work in this program to represent those at Voorhees who feel unseen or unheard. Just a little bit about me. I guess I'm president and founder of our school's Black Student Union as well as the Diversity Club. I'm captain of our mock trial team. I participate in various other sports like color guard for our marching band, softball, I play first base. I'm also in National English Honor Society, and I do a lot of volunteer work with National English Honor Society and several various other programs on the side. I'm also in Youth in Government, where I recently got my bill passed last year. I'm excited to work with all of you, including my fellow representatives. Thank you.
Yeah, so I had an opportunity to read all of your application. I think you all 4 of you had a common theme of being a voice for your school. So really, I do encourage you, work with your counselors, work with the vice principals, the principals, and certainly with us, right, to be that voice. And again, really, on behalf of all of us, thanks for volunteering to do this. And I'll tell you, if you watched, and you have watched, right, we find this very informative when you come. So again, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Our next board meeting is October 15th, 2024 at 7 p.m. here. And the NJSBA Workshop 2024 is October 21st to the 24th in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I think there's a handful of us going, right? Yes, that's great. So thank you. So we will now have a presentation of the School and Small Business Ventilation and Energy Efficiency Verification and Repair Grant by Katie Blue, who is obviously a school business administrator for the school. I can't talk tonight.
Thank you so much. I think I have the best job tonight, which is talking to all of you about some grant money that we received about 2 years ago that we've been working on diligently. So without further ado, I'm Catherine Blue. I'm the CPA and Business Administrator Board Secretary for the North Hunterdon-Voorhees Board of Ed. I started here about 5 years ago, and during that time we were in the middle of an energy savings improvement plan, an ESIP, if you've heard that for short. That was the second ESIP that the district had participated in its time. First one was in 2011. So that one in 2019, we worked with Honeywell, and they were our ESCO, the energy savings consultant. And during that time, they complete an energy savings study, an audit per se, and they look at every single piece of equipment in our buildings, every single light, every single fixture. And during that time, they were able to do that audit. It worked out perfectly well when we got the call from them saying that there was a grant opportunity from New Jersey Clean Energy. So I told them at any time if there's ever a grant, I want to know about it. So they gave me a call in 2002 and said, since we have this energy savings audit, we think it would be a great opportunity for you. There's the potential for millions of dollars of energy improvements that you could get through this grant. And since you have all the data with us already, we could partner together and get this submitted. So during that time, in October of 2022, we applied for that grant with the support of the board and support of administration. I was able to work really quickly and get us in the top of the queue for the submission of this grant, because obviously the faster you enter your application, the higher you are on the priority list. So with being able to move quickly, we were able to put in the application and get full funding, which was $6.5 million. So as you can see, it has a really long title, so we usually abbreviate it or just call it the New Jersey Clean Energy Grant, but you can see it's for schools and small businesses for ventilation and energy efficiency verification and repair. So based on, hold on, got a little trigger happy. So there's two avenues of the grant. There's the maintenance or repair pathway and a replacement pathway. So the funding is split into those two avenues. So we submitted 4 applications. 2 for North for maintenance and repair, and then Voorhees for maintenance and replacement. So as you can see, the breakdown for North and Voorhees, based on their project budget, we had a full scope in the Long Range Facility Plan of projects that we could potentially use based on Honeywell's audit. And you could see the grant actually was 75% funded, and we had 25% funded. So for every dollar that we put in, we got $3 back. So for an investment of $1.6 million, we got 6.5 in total. So they were contributing almost $5 million towards all these projects. So it's all for the kids. This is for the health and well-being of everyone in that building, and we're really proud of all the work that's been going on in the past 2 years. So just to kind of go over where did we touch the buildings and how much did we impact with this money. You can see this is the Voorhees first floor. They have air handling units which are built into the building. They're not rooftop units, they're not standalone. So being that they're so permanent inside the structure, it gives us the ability to just repair them. They're really meant to be repaired, and that's what we did. We focused on the repair phase. So you can see all of the blue in that shaded area. We got full lubrication, coil cleanings, and so this is repair work that we usually do every 5 to 7 years. We were able to do it all in one fell swoop in all of those areas of the building. We did have one replacement piece you can see over the theater, and that was a rooftop unit. Again, the second floor focusing on the air handling units and all of the repairs that we could do throughout the second floor as well. So just an example of what we do. Again, it's not an aesthetic thing that we're doing that you see in the front of the building, but a brand new train unit like that is hundreds of thousands of dollars. So every time you see one of those new units, it's money in the bank. As far as North Hunterdon High School, there's so many different editions of that building and different iterations of types of HVAC. There's areas that don't have cooling still. That's kind of the areas that we focused on. So you can see with the replacement areas that are red, we have 6 new rooftop units on the 250 science wing, 4 new rooftop units over the nurses room, 134 and 135. There was an air handling unit in the child study area that was upgraded, 6 unit ventilators in the wrestling room that was non-existing, and locker rooms and the IT room, and the list goes on. So the repair also, the grant had funds for the repair phase as well, so we do have some areas of blue, but we really focused on replacements at North just because some of them were so antiquated. So the second floor we focused on the repair phase, and you can see those blue areas of the second floor of the building. And the O level of the building, basement, ground level, we focused on just the repair phase because that was part of the referendum. If you remember, 2022 is when we had a referendum passed with several HVAC repairs, so we tried to use this grant first for anything that was eligible, and then backfill with referendum funding to utilize most to the best of our ability. So just for an example of what North Hunterdon was dealing with, you could see on the left, there was an old ceiling hung unit for heat in the boys gym, green gym, whatever you want to call it, that only provided heating. There were 3 units in that one ceiling hung, and it would cost us tens of thousands a year to try to repair that one unit. It was so old, they didn't have parts that we could replace it with, so we consistently repaired that unit. So that whole unit got removed. You could see that it's a blank slate on the inside of the building. And now we have huge, so we still call them RTUs, rooftop units, but it's concrete mounted on the outside of the building and all new ductwork on the inside. Millions of dollars just in that area. So that's a huge area that didn't have cooling in the past and now has heating and cooling. This is the child study team, again, not aesthetic, but a brand new unit for that area of the building. Wrestling gym did not have any kind of condensing units, and now they have heating in that area. And I referenced throughout the presentation that it's all about better ventilation and better energy efficiency. Also with that is the requirement to have CO2 sensors throughout the building, which is advantageous to us because we have a building management system where our facility manager can go into a software and see exactly if there's a classroom that has a need for, let's say, a little bit more outdoor air. You know, let's say there's 2 classes going into a classroom and all of a sudden the CO2 is a little bit high. He can see on his building management software that it's a little too high, he can make that adjustment, and everything is from his desk. He doesn't have to go anywhere. It's all through AirFi, Wi-Fi units. So as we talked about in May, I know at the board level we have a lot of these discussions for the public. This may be a new conversation, but there was $2 million left of this grant. A lot of the bids came in lower than we thought when we were doing the replacement. So the best part is we could do even more work than we thought we could. So at North, we kind of focused on these 5 areas because they have the worst energy efficiency that were kind of left on our priority list. They're an exterior rooms that tend to have worse energy efficiency, more windows. They have old unit ventilators and window AC units. So you can see on this, it's kind of behind the theater where there's the science rooms, a graphic arts room, an art room, and a special ed room at North. So again, unit ventilators and wall-hung air conditioners. So as you can see in the classroom, you can see what a unit ventilator looks like in some of the wall AC units. These will all be RTUs that are mounted on the roof. Again, being mindful of our solar because right now we have solar on the roof as well. So the ground floor is the weight room unit. So also in the second phase, we're able to do the weight room that is directly below those classrooms. If you're familiar with North, on the north side of the building, there's some roll-up doors that used to have tech ed, I believe, and now it's the weight room area. So that area does not have cooling currently, and they currently have older heating units, which look like this. Those will all be removed, and it'll be typical, it will look similar to the boys' gym, where there'll be concrete mounted units on the outside for heating and cooling. So just to kind of recap where we were, we applied back in 2022. We had 4 different grant applications that were all approved at the maximum rate. Throughout this process, we were surveying every unit, making sure we were identifying all the projects that we could do, working with Pret Samjin and Honeywell to make sure all of these project scopes were reasonable and determine as much as we could do, also taking into account the referendum that we had just passed. And to where we are currently, the next summer of 2025, we'll be installing the phase 2 replacement grant upgrades that we'll be going and ordering right now, which are the ones that I was just referencing. So we are extremely proud of this project because this impacts the kids directly, and without this grant, those millions of dollars would have been left on the table. So thank you for the opportunity to
So, what Katie doesn't really modestly tell you, right, is that this is, right, the hard work of her team going out and getting, right, and her team getting these grants, right, and obviously, as she told you, it benefits the students, it benefits our staff, it's obviously, it gets our schools modern at the, ultimately at the benefit of the taxpayers, which is also, what's kind of getting hidden in here is, all of these units are upgrades and efficiencies. So these aren't just costs we save today, right? These are costs we're going to be continuously to save in the future. So, this is just one example, and you've heard over the years that Katie goes after for grants to help, modernize our schools and obviously ultimately save taxpayer money and benefit the students. So again, Katie. Questions for Katie?
I have a quick question. So do these improvements help to extend the life of the schools as well? So like if we hadn't put these types of repairs and maintenance in place, I would assume that we'd be looking at a much more difficult situation in extending along the school.
Of course, a lot of those units were past their useful life. We were just kind of like getting by with maintaining them. So again, if we had 6.5 million sitting in capital reserve, then we'd be able to accomplish all of that. But luckily, we only had to use 1.5 of it, so it would have taken us several years to be able to complete all those projects.
Just amazing.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And does it move quicker and faster because of the grant itself? Is there a different kind of process if we have to pay for it in relevance to actually grant money?
It's more complicated to have a grant, to be honest with you. If I were to go out to bid and I was using taxpayer money, I could just go out to bid and complete the project. But this does add a level of complication, but my office and I, we're committed to this district and we're willing to do all that extra work.
Wow.
So it's great.
Wow. Amazing.
Other questions? Great. Thanks, Katie. So moving on, so we're now open for public comment. So during this portion of the meeting, the public is invited to address the Board of Education with comments. You are requested to sign the register provided for this purpose and to state your name, municipality of residence, group affiliation, if applicable, and direct your comments to the school board president. While all comments will be considered by the Board of Education and a response may be forthcoming if and when appropriate, individual school board members may not respond to the speaker at the time of their appearance. The public comment period will be a maximum of 30 minutes in length unless there are unusual circumstances. You will be allocated 3 minutes to speak, and no one will be permitted to speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. Please keep your comments respectful and non-defamatory, and maintain the level of decorum appropriate for a public meeting where students may be present and in the audience.
My name is Marina Bartelli. I live in Franklin Township, and didn't come intending to say anything, but I just want to acknowledge these students, the young people, for all that they're up to and for their dedication and really stepping up into something that is actually quite a bit of responsibility, representing your peers and representing the interests of all. That's what community is looking outside of oneself and looking out for all those around us as well. So I really appreciate these young folks for coming on in and being willing to take on these roles. And I can tell they're going to be doing some great things, not only this year as high school students, but in the future. And it's great to see it. So I wish you a lot of success in all things. And thank you.
So moving on, we will now have a public hearing on contract amendments to the Assistant Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Burjax, and the School Administrator, School Business Administrator, Catherine Blue, as well as the contract addendum to the Assistant Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Burjax. The North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School Board of Education wishes to amend the contracts of the Assistant Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Rich Burjack, and the School Business Administrator, Catherine Blue, for the effective period of July 1, 2024 and through June 30th, 2025. The board also wishes to approve an addendum to the contract for Dr. Burjack for acting superintendent duties. Pursuant to the NJSA 18A 7-8J, a proposed amendment, extension, renegotiation, or alteration to the contract of the Superintendent of Schools, Assistant Superintendent of Schools, and/or School Business Administrator must be viewed and approved by the Executive County Superintendent. The proposed amendment to Dr. Burjack's and Ms. Blue's contracts and the proposed addendum to Dr. Burjack's contract were submitted to the Interim Executive County Superintendent of the New Jersey Department of Education, Hunterdon County Office for review and approval. The amendment to Dr. Burjack's and Ms. Blue's contracts were reviewed and approved by the Interim Executive County Superintendent of the New Jersey Department of Education, Hunterdon County Office on August 30th, 2024. The Interim Executive County Superintendent also reviewed and approved the addendum to Dr. Burjack's contract on August 30th, 2024. In addition to review and approval by the Executive County Superintendent, the board is required by NJSA 18A 11-11 to provide the public with 30 days advance notice of its intent to take action to amend, extend, renegotiate, and/or alter the terms and conditions of the contract with the Superintendent of Schools, Assistant Superintendent of Schools, and/or School Business Administrator. The board is also required to hold a public hearing regarding the intended amendment, extension, renegotiation, and/or alteration of those contracts and provide the public with 10 days advance notice that such a hearing will be held before taking any action. Notice of the board's intent to take action and of tonight's public hearing were provided to the public via publication in the district's office newspaper on August 22nd, 2024. And September 12, 2024, and publication on the district's public website every day for the period beginning on August 22nd, 2024 to September 24th, 2024. As such, I would like to open the meeting for a public hearing. There will be an opportunity for the public to comment on the proposed amendments to Dr. Burjack and Ms. Blue's contract and to the addendum to Dr. Burjack's contract. So, and this public comment is now only on those three items. And specifically on the amended contracts of the Assistant Superintendent of Schools and the School Business Administrator, as well as the contract addendum for the Assistant Superintendent of Schools. The Board, pursuant to NJSA 10-4-12B, the Open Public Meeting Act, should not publicly discuss personal matters and shall not respond to comments made by the members of the public. Please be aware that the subject of this hearing Please be aware that the subject of this hearing retains the right of privacy and shall retain all rights regarding defamation and slander. According to the laws of New Jersey, the board shall not be held liable for comments made by the members of the public. So, are there any comments on the two contracts and the addendum to Dr. Burjack's contract? Okay. So that now closes public hearing on those three items. So I need a call for motion and second to approve the amended contract for the period of July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025 between the board and Catherine Blue.
So moved.
Tara? Brian? And so I need a roll call vote.
Ms. Cagno?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Hintz?
Yes.
Ms. Cotran?
Yes.
Mr. McIsaac?
Yes.
Mr. Mealy?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Selena?
Yes.
Mr. Spanier? Ms. Beato?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes. So I need a call for motion and second to approve the amended contracts for the period of July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025 between the board and Dr. Burjack.
So moved.
Second?
Was it Jackson?
No, Kim and
Kim.
Nicole.
Okay. Oh,
No, Beth.
I'm sorry, Beth. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I should have asked you any questions. No, okay. So I need a roll call vote on that.
Ms. Cagno?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Hintz?
Yes.
Ms. Cotran?
Yes.
Mr. McIsaac?
Yes.
Mr. Mealy?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Selena?
Yes.
Mr. Spanier Thompson? Ms. Beato?
Yes.
And Mr. Corbett?
Yes. And so I need a call for motion and second to approve the contract addendum for the period of July 23rd, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 between the board and Dr. Burjack.
So moved.
Second.
Brian?
Jess
Jess,
had
Brian and Jess? Brian and Jess. Any questions on that? Okay, so need a roll call vote.
Ms. Cagno?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Hintz?
Yes.
Ms. Cotran?
Yes.
Mr. McIsaac?
Yes.
Mr. Mealy?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Salino?
Yes.
Mr. Spain? And Ms. Viado?
Yes.
And Mr. Carvana?
Yes. Okay. So moving on to curriculum, instruction, and technology.
Yes. Okay, so the curriculum committee met on September 18th. Everyone was present. As everyone knows, we take the monthly report in our meeting, in our committee. So we discussed the monthly report, and we're taking a look again at the suspensions, basically the disciplinary actions. And since it was only August, there was only really one, so there really wasn't much to look at this time. But we'll be taking a look again to make sure that we're seeing kind of a balanced approach out of both schools going forward. We also reviewed the other items that were on the agenda, the home instruction, of which there were only, I think, a few that led into the summer period, and then out-of-district placements. And then we had an additional student who joined the district, so we had to do another contract for the Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and so we're recommending approval of those items. We also had a pretty detailed discussion regarding AI, which has been on our agenda periodically in trying to best understand AI and how, whether a policy needs to be implemented by the policy committee. We also spoke specifically about the fact that the parent-student handbooks this year were updated under the academic integrity section of the handbooks to include artificial intelligence and where it is and is not appropriate to use it. I think there's still quite a bit of question around AI, and in particular, what AI actually means and what should and shouldn't be permitted for use. And so we've decided to add it as a standing item on the curriculum agenda so we can continue to flush that out and best understand what's in the best interest for the students as well as the faculty and staff, because there are really benefits to using it in both instances. They also, there is going to be, in the Professional Development Day coming up on October 14th, there's also going to be a focus on artificial intelligence there. And lessons have been added about artificial intelligence to the digital citizenship curriculum, which began last year. So there is a focus on it, and we also discussed the fact that the Hunterdon County School Boards Association, for those who are interested, are having a session on AI on Monday, next Monday, so I think there are a number of us that are interested in attending that. And then finally, we went through the advanced placement results, which were really positive. We received the results. We looked at the number of students taking the test, and I've noticed that there's been an increase again. The numbers were down when the policy had changed, which was, the old policy was you had to take the AP exam in order to get the advanced placement credit, and that had the weighting, and that's changed, but we're beginning to see an increase again in the courses. We also discussed the difference between the concurrent enrollment, where they can get college credits at, I think, RVCC as well as Seton Hall, versus taking the AP exam, so that the committee could understand that. We also talked about the fact that the students can look at the AP credit policy to see what scores colleges actually will take credit for, and it was noted that there can be a significant financial benefit to parents and students by getting that credit ahead of going into college, because in some instances you could even take out a semester's worth of credit and cost when the student's at college. So we were talking about that quite a bit. And there'll be continued encouragement for students to take the AP courses. We have really an excellent AP program in the district. That was very emphasized, that we train our teachers to do what's necessary to be accredited AP teachers, which is really an advantage that we have in the district versus a lot of other districts in the state. Then we just mentioned, for the good of the order, the discussion around how common assessments were created this summer, and it went well. So we'll begin to have some benchmarks going into this school year versus, the students, how they perform this year versus last year. And then we also discussed and I think it's on the agenda, the copies of They Say, I Say books that are up for disposal are going to be donated going into, so we'll be taking care of that. And that was the end of the committee discussion.
Questions?
And that meeting is virtual too.
Yeah, it's virtual.
Yes, I know.
You can go to the
Virtual.
dinner or you can log on
Yeah.
virtually
Yeah.
on 30th. So that's our
Great.
first Hunterdon County meeting.
Yeah, it looks great.
And then they sent a notice on the new update, you have a caption.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
It's
it's
a
a
sign,
scan, you
so it
have
makes it
QR
easy.
code.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
great.
True.
The other thing Beth didn't mention, I think it was like, what, we said 20 AP classes? Yeah, I knew there was a lot of kids here, but I didn't realize there was that many, right? I think we kind of lose sight of just how massive the program opportunities are for our kids, so it's...
Are we still offering the same AP courses too? Have they changed? Or anything been added? Or are they still the same?
We added seminar, but I don't know how long ago.
It's been a few years since we added a seminar. We have a proposal for, that we'll be looking at in November to change our honors pre-calculus to AP pre-calculus. So that might be one more.
Great, great.
Yeah, I didn't realize when we do that, right, we're also then having to train the teachers to do these classes, right? So it really is, it's a massive undertaking. It's a great opportunity for the students. So I didn't realize there was that many classes. So, other questions? Okay.
Thank you, Beth.
So I need a call for motion and a second to approve agenda items 10.1 through 10.3.
Motion.
Second.
Jess? Brendan? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. And policy and school security, Kim.
So we met on September 16th. Everyone was present. Rich, we discussed the update on the policy manual conversion. Rich updated the committee on the progress of the conversion of our policy manual by NJSBA. We are still on target to complete the conversion by the end of October. We will be contracting with a company called Board Docs, which will be the hosting platform to access the manual. Once the conversion is complete, upload process starts and full access should be available for the board in January or by January. That's still
The
possible.
committee will have access before then, but the public will have access by January.
By January.
The board will have access.
And right now, no action being taken. We discussed policy 0143.2, student representatives to the board, which is an ongoing discussion. We had an in-depth discussion about board reps and their role on the board. Some exploratory discussion was had surrounding some suggested revisions to the policy based on research from other districts' policies. Continued discussion will occur. Rich shared the student rep selection process and explained how building principals meet with student reps before board meetings, and added he will plan to attend the said meetings. As part of the onboarding new student reps, it was suggested that the CSA meet with newly elected reps to let them know their expectations and responsibilities on the board. And the action items, we will continue to onboard new student reps and attend future meetings. And in conclusion, we will continue to look at the policy language for the upcoming meetings. So I know Beth had asked about that.
Oh, just because I wasn't sure.
Yes,
Sorry
it's
about
okay.
that.
And then we did have some other business go to the order. I received a request about cell phones. So we did have a discussion about that. And it was noted that individual teachers have enforced cell phone policies for several years now. This year, North had a school-wide initiative to use, I guess, like a over the back of the, like a shoe organizer for over the back of the door. A shoe thingy. For the classroom doors, to have students leave their phones when they're in class. This has created a more uniform enforcement and has shown effective thus far. We will continue to monitor the effectiveness throughout the year. We also discussed the new pre-participation physical eval forms being used. It's for students, athletes, athletics, in both schools. It's provided by the NJ BOE, Department of Education. To help parents in completing the submission of these forms, we will be highlighting the info at the top of the form. There'll be a section at the top of the form so the parents see what they need to fill out and submit, because they do not have to submit all the paperwork. Only the doctor sign-off page needs to be returned to the school. This form will also be placed first in the link on our website. And that was it for good of the owner.
Questions?
I just had a question, a comment on the cell phone policies, and I guess my question is, you know, in the context of emergencies like the school shootings and things, if requiring the students to keep their phones away from their person is in the best interest of our students. Trust me, I get why we don't want the kids to have their phones on them all the time, but is there, you know, thought about just having them put it in a backpack? You know, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, because if something were to happen, you hear about a lot of these horrible situations and kids are able to get in touch with someone if they need to. If they have to actually stand up and go to the door and you get a crowd of kids going to get their phones.
I'm going to deflect that to Rich, but I think when we did discuss that, were there any issues, or how are the kids feeling, how are the teachers doing, and that was a discussion. So Rich can elaborate on that.
So from a school security standpoint, I can talk to you offline.
Yeah, of course.
Just address your concerns. You know, again, it's one tool that we're using.
Okay.
The reality of it is, if a student didn't put their phone in a thing and had it in their backpack and it was silenced and it never came out of their backpack, the teacher wouldn't know.
Okay.
It's just another way to make sure that the students are, they have an excuse to keep it away from them.
Yeah.
It's hard to resist that buzzing when it's going off in your pocket, and that's what the intent is.
Okay, sounds good.
And for clarification, have we had students, you know, complaining of such, that it's an issue, or teachers causing, it's a
That's for
distraction?
student reps. What do you think?
Has it become such an issue, or it's just kind of I guess ask the student reps, is it, you know,
I think it depends on the
does it
student, but why don't you
cause
give
a
us our
problem?
We don't have it
This
at
is at
Voorhees,
North,
so I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at North, I think I was actually talking to Mr. Isaac earlier about just the cell phone policy. I was talking to him how it varies from class to class, and engagement in that class, because I was talking about how in my AP Gov class, we put our phones in the pocket in the beginning of the period, but because of the engagement in the class, you don't really think about your phone, because as a student, you're engaged in the class. But in another class, like if I were to put my phone away, it's kind of just like annoying, because I'm not really as engaged and I'm just kind of distracted. I'm in my own world. It's like, I don't know, I know some students, they, instead of putting it in the pocket, they put it in their bag, but then they pull it out during class, and then they're just like behind the computer, tap away, put it back in their pocket, so, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Thank you.
And that probably becomes, to your point, a distraction to the kids next to them.
No,
when
I
someone
totally
else is
agree.
doing it.
I know.
Because
I
we
know.
do it. We're
Yeah, no,
guilty.
I know. It bothers me when I'm in work meetings and you've got people on the thing. So I get it. Trust me, I totally get it. But just had some, reservations, I guess I would say, about it from security safety.
So in point, if we're doing this as an initiative here, is it something you're thinking of implementing or trying at Voorhees too? Or is it just?
They always share ideas, but sometimes something starts at one building,
Doesn't.
it works, they share it with the other building, and vice versa. It happens all the time, back and forth, so.
And teachers could be doing it anyway, and we don't even know.
I think it's really.
Yeah, and some teachers did have policies before where they would have bins and things like that, so
Yes.
this just sort of formalized it. Amelia, you want to add anything?
I completely agree with Shivam, although to the point of, if you weren't on your phone, a teacher wouldn't know. Many teachers use the phone pockets as an attendance system, which is difficult because if you are a student that doesn't have their phone on them all the time, and maybe left it at home, then you have to go out of your way and speak to a teacher about that. And I understand that's a rare circumstance, but sometimes it is inconvenient convenient, especially if you need your phone for something like contacting a parent for something important, then you need to get permission, and it just takes a lot longer to do some necessary tasks.
Well, thank you for that feedback.
I think one of the things, I know when you hear examples and the concern that you articulated, and I feel like we've reiterated it both here and in committee, you know, there are opportunities obviously throughout the day where kids can connect. I think one of the scenarios that doesn't get captured, but there are emerging examples of, is when something concerning spreads through social media and the phones that would potentially be a distraction in the building. With the phones being away, the likelihood of that emanating to the level of a distraction doesn't happen. And that can be very local, something just happening among the students, or students, you know, reacting to something that happens somewhere else that doesn't create sort of the stir in that way. And that's a harder one to pinpoint. But when you have that example, you see the impact of it.
But the kids are going to get their cell phones back at the end of class, have the same social distraction in the hallway, the same social distraction in the cafeteria, the same social distraction in the class that doesn't collect the phone. If it's, you know, if you're worried about the distractions, yes, it's going to distract them in class, but once they get to class, then they're all going to be talking about it anyway. So you're kind of in a catch-22 where they're going to find out about something that's going on. I know, I mean, even with Sophia, it was all throughout text through the kids. You know, I heard about it through my daughter, who's a teacher at CPS now. So it came to me indirectly, pretty quickly, and it's, you know, that's the kids.
I wish this was going to solve all of our cell phone issues. This is
I don't
just
think it
one
ever will.
tool for certain circumstances.
But it's a tool for both, for the teachers, right? And for kids that, as Shivam said, that, you know, you get engaged and you forget about that. And then the hour's gone by, collect your phone, and you'll be able to check your email, walking out, whatever they're doing, lunch. There's another time for that. But we need to get back to academics and focusing and,
It's just also, it's a form of respect. I mean, you have a teacher taking the time, learning, you know, PD, everything that they have to do to get that class ready. And they deserve the attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe there was one teacher, and I'm not going to name names, but was sending emails out to parents to say, look, I'm going to give your kid detention. Like this went to the whole classroom's parent, all the parents. Your kids are going to get detention if they use their phones. I told them 3, 4, 5 times, but detention clearly wasn't even a deterrent from that, which is crazy. So yeah, it definitely helps from that standpoint, which is good.
But we'll talk to
Yeah,
What has been the talk with Voorhees? This is an initiative with North. Is it every teacher is deciding? Is that the way it was at North prior, where every teacher decided, and now this is a school-wide
I think
initiative?
stuff like this was going on. I mean, I can tell you my teacher friends in other districts, it's been going on for years. The cell phone just didn't pop up today. I mean, this has been going on for years, so teachers find their own ways that work for them. You know, it might be over the door, it could be a basket on the teacher's desk. There's lots of ways. It's what works best, but as Rich said, they were trying to do an initiative where they were all doing this, trying to do similar things.
Just to support teachers to allow them to have something.
Okay. Finance, John?
We have to vote?
Oh, no, there's nothing to vote on.
Nothing.
Thank you, Glenn. So we met our committee on the 16th. Everybody was there except for Tara. The main topic of conversation that we had was regarding the capital projects. Katie has already elaborated on the clean energy grant funding, so I'd just also like to reiterate how happy I am that she was able to source that grant. Now that is the third time we've worked with Honeywell. First time was before I came on the board, and it seemed like they did a tremendous amount of work back then, 12 years ago, and then we did it again. maybe 4 or 5 years ago and wrapped up that project. So we've really, no stone has been unturned at both schools, finding efficiencies, upgrades. So I think we're set to go well into the future before we have to tackle some of these projects. So, and not just that we're taking care of these items, but we're doing it in a fashion where we're able to capture so much state funding that, which is difficult for us to latch onto, especially in an environment where we see reduced state aid. So this is one opportunity for us to really maximize state participation in our schools. And then we also talked about we're wrapping up the 2022 referendum projects. That was another avenue for us to capture state matching money. And the reason we had the referendum was because we had this scope of work, and in order to get state funding, we had to perform a referendum, and we received that approval, and then the next year then we paid that off with our own money. We didn't need a bond long-term for that. And the good news, these projects are winding down, and the better news is that there is a lot of money left over. So these projects in that referendum grouping were well under budget to approximately $1.7 million. So this savings, and so the state, they kicked in their portion, we kicked in our portion, and the remaining 1.7 million we'll be able to slip back into our capital reserve. Yeah. If you recall, the last time we had a referendum project, we had some money left over, but since that was a long-term bonding situation, we had to return it through annually in our budgets. So this referendum project, we paid it all off that second year after it was approved, and so that because of that 1.7 million can go directly back into our budget. So I'm glad. I think projects have gone well. They've went under budget, and we'll have more money to spend on other similar projects or other capital work down the road. We also talked about, we had a transportation update. Things seem to be going well this school year. I guess there was some, there was increasing in staffing over the summer, so even the athletic runs seem to be going well, knock on wood. So we're pleased to see that there aren't the similar issues that we've had other years regarding that busing situation. We also just did a agenda review, which is very light. There's a wellness grant on there of $12,000. There's some books biology books that are being donated to the school from the Hunterdon County Vocational School District. The reason they're donating these books because the classes, they will no longer be teaching them once the new building here is finished. Those classes, those students will be taking those classes here at North Hunterdon. So that's why you see that donation of books. Other than that, there was just approval of some booster club banners at both schools, and then other monthly reports were discussed, and there were no questions. So that's all that I have. If anybody has any questions.
Katie, the second half of the projects for next year, that's already paid for, right? It's already encumbered? Or
The second half of the project.
Are we doing more of the HVAC next summer?
So the $2 million that I referenced in the presentation, that's still part of the grant. So we still have funds from the grant, so we're able to do all those projects next summer with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right now, we're going through the long-range facility plan. We kind of have that discussion as well, just that we're targeting what things are our priority now, so that if we have money in capital reserve, we can start having better and more fruitful discussions of what are our priorities and necessary projects in the next 2, 3, 5 years.
And how much money can we keep in our maintenance fund?
That's a calculation. You actually see that on the October agenda. It's a calculation of the square footage of the buildings, and we have 1.7 in maintenance reserve right now that we haven't touched in a few years. So that's available to us. I think we're allowed to have almost $4 million.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Those are probably mainly used for emergency purposes.
Exactly, like a really large maintenance project that's unforeseen.
Like the well.
Or for puzzle?
Like the gym.
The wells are very deep up there, very.
So the $12,000 wellness grant, that's great. Is that something that happens each year? This is through the...
It's happened
this is through
before.
the insurance?
We apply for it every year in hopes that they will have funding for it. It's through the school's health insurance fund. A couple years ago, we joined that health insurance fund. It's kind of like pooling your interest, and so you get better pricing for health insurance. And that fund always has a specific amount allocated for wellness, so that we apply every year. We try to get as much as we can, and then we're able to do things like walking challenges, nutritional days during our PD days.
This is all for the staff.
All for staff, yeah. And it's things that we wouldn't normally be able to do with taxpayer funding. This is all wellness related. So it's been really well received the past 2 years.
John, you mentioned the busing. Bus drivers have gotten better, or not as bad, maybe.
Correct. We've had problems past years where the ranks were so thin that the athletic runs after school, if there was an absent bus driver somewhere in the ranks, it would be difficult to fill those athletic runs. So
Right.
they've been able to staff up just a little bit more, so there's a little bit more forgiveness in that. So, reports are that we're not having, I guess, certain teams don't have to transport themselves to away events, and
Okay.
So
we shouldn't, I shouldn't think that the whole bus driver problem is kind of
No.
the ragged edge. It's now a little bit.
Yes, we are coping as best we can, but it's still a problem.
There was a scramble for the cross-country team on Saturday to their away event where they had to do that exactly, carpool. The bus didn't arrive. But it doesn't sound like it's happening as frequently, right?
It's just the difference of a few more bus drivers available. Nothing fundamental happened, changed, like.
Oh, no, nothing. Well, still the licensing procedure is very difficult. The pool of applicants is very, very shallow. So
It's
there's
becoming very competitive as far as pricing for the drivers. It seems to be a bidding war in the area. ESC, who we cooperate with, is at $30 an hour, I believe now, and now all of the districts around here are going above $30 an hour. So it's just a matter of the same pool of people are unfortunately being targeted, and then you lose them, and then they go somewhere else.
And then the standards, they have to
It's not easy to get new
obtain a
drivers because of
CDL
that.
license.
Right.
They're driving a bus, and they have to know, like, running a rig, driving a rig. It's just, it's no rhyme or reason, I think.
We were able to hire one, potentially two retired drivers to do just athletic runs in the afternoon. So they don't want to be full-time, but they still want to do athletic runs, so we hired them directly through North-Voorhees.
And we still have them.
So, yeah, he's still on staff, and we're hoping to get another. It just seems to be a nice arrangement for them and for us. We can attract them with a slightly higher pay raise because we're just targeting
And
that
it's
couple
part-time.
hours in the afternoon.
Other questions? Okay. So I need a call for motion and second to approve agenda items 12.1 through 12.13.
So moved.
Tara?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Can I just vote no on something on the vote list? Or do I have to approve it all or not?
Can you just reference maybe the check number or the name of the vendor?
Yeah, 037769, I'm going to vote no for the Hope Institute.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I just have two questions, really easy ones.
Were there any no's or abstentions?
Yeah, hold on.
Sorry.
Hold on, you had a, so there was one abstention.
No.
No, I'm sorry, one no, excuse me, one no.
And I'm going to abstain from 9 and 13. 12.9 and
12.13, okay. Kim, you had a,
Just a quick, on the books for disposal, there was the English department, they're from 2021 and they're saying they're excellent. Is it just because we're not using them?
it's a new edition that is required by our concurrent enrollment, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And then the other question, Katie, or Rich, you can answer to this. I noticed on the travel for PD, there's a lot of repetitive. Do we send just one person from, for a PD and do a turnkey when they come back.
I don't know what you're referencing. Can you give me an example?
Oh, just to go for a history conference at Princeton. You have teachers going out of the building, but multiple to one event. I mean, is it, just thinking in general, moving ahead, so staff could attend more or different PD instead of sending 3 people to one. Do we do turnkey?
We do, but sometimes it's beneficial for more than one staff member to go.
Okay.
Some of these could be virtual, it just depends on which one you're looking at. If you let us know ahead of time, we could look into it.
Yeah, I just caught it when I was just thinking,
The
oh,
one
why?
that you're referencing doesn't like the travel.
Yeah, I don't think they're virtual, but that was all.
I think sorry.
No, it's okay.
Oh, no.
I wanted to vote no on the Folk Institute.
Oh, okay, same one.
Point of clarification. I thought at one point we decided we were not voting on sub-items within, they're not numbered, right? We don't vote on items that are underneath that level. It's a yes.
All or no?
It's a up, down, or abstain from the numbered level.
Right, that's what we...
Right, but I think you recorded it as a no.
As a no.
Correct, so that's the way it was recorded.
A no for the whole item, for the whole numbered item.
Yeah, 12.9 is a no.
Correct.
Well, she referenced a check number, so.
Yes.
It's a check
depends.
number.
I can do it that
Yeah,
way.
but are we,
It's just a point
but
of...
are we drilling down? I thought we
I
weren't,
thought we
because they're
weren't,
not
so-
agenda items, we can't single out a
That's why-
single check item.
Well, same as personnel, I mean, we allow people
Those are
to
numbered.
say.
Yeah, but they're
no.
not-
But they're on it, but they have agenda items.
They have a line item.
They have a line item, there's
Numbered
no
line
line
item.
Same as the
item.
bills list, I have a check number.
But she has a check
That's
number,
where-
that is a line item.
That's where.
We've
I
always
have
done
it
it that way.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think we have, right? I think we
I know that
settled
when
on it.
Katie, in your absence,
As long as I have a number that I can reference, I think I can.
I think we've always done it, and then when Katie in the absence, when we had the
interim.
intern, it was done differently.
Differently. Okay.
Conversation, okay. No, as long as I usually have a number that I can reference, then I can carve that out.
Thank you.
So if it's muddy, then
Appreciate
it's
it.
difficult.
Do you want me to give the number?
Nope, I
You
have
got
it from the
number.
books, that's fine.
Yeah, but that just sets a precedent. So now we can, as long as we can refer to something that's underneath the items, we can object or vote no on a sub-item. We're allowing that to happen now.
I think because we've always done that with personnel, I would say that's the same as what we've been doing.
I don't think we were doing the individual
Like
line
equal
item
1.1.
Yes,
bills.
we
I
were.
believe what we were doing was the bills entirely, because it's a 2.9 is the agenda item, but like in personnel, it's 13.12, 13.13, 13.14.
And there are
I know
times-
that when anybody goes for a PD or you get reimbursement, you can still approve the bills list, but then you want to abstain from your specific reambrsement. So yeah, it's been done in the past. This is.
I've been on the
second
board
year we've
15
done it a
years,
couple
and
times.
it's always been like that.
I actually thought that when you abstain, it means you're abstaining from the entire building.
But there's a
So-
line item, there's a
No,
specific
they're
number, and the
able
check
to
is the
have
line
one
item.
And I can understand that whole concept.
John, is there any reason why we can't be doing it this way?
This is a practice issue.
So it's not a- no
This
issue
is
up or
how
down?
the board wants to self-govern on this.
It seems like this only really happens on monthly
On
bills
bills
lists. So is it fair to say we'll make this rule for personnel aside? Will you guys want to do it for bills?
So here's my concern with bills, is that the services have already been rendered, and we have to pay them. So it's almost a formality here. So, I mean, if we do this, and then everybody disagrees, if you have a quorum that disagrees, we're not gonna pay the vendor, we can't do that, that's a breach of contract. So,
So for the Folk
Concern.
Institute, I was told that in reality, we're not approving the agreements that was
That's
put
right.
in place, right? So, and if you were, if you wanted to object to the Folk Institute, which I do, I'm able to vote no on the payment, because that's really the approval process for Folk Institute. So,
But if there was a quorum to vote against the Folk Institute check number that's already been issued and paid, how would the board take action then? Or you as business administrator, would you call and stop payment on the check? Would you call and rescind and ask for payment back? We can't really legitimately line item a check that's being cut.
Right.
I've never seen it happen.
There's also statute that requires, as Katie could explain, speedy payment for public entities, which requires 30-day pay upon tender of invoice.
But a check could be potentially tabled to be looked into or a discussion from the VA's perspective.
If they haven't gone out yet.
If they haven't, or services haven't been rendered.
Services haven't been rendered.
But if
Or
services
services have been rendered and you're
then-
questioning the services that have been
But
rendered, that can happen.
Is it our
It has
job
happened.
as a board, if the business administrator and the administration have vetted the Folk Institute, have signed a contract with them, because we are not signing the contracts, we entrust and empower them to do so, and if they've used and facilitated the services, how is it that we can line item a check for a payment of a bill that has already been approved on a level outside of our own?
I think that's a good point, only because I think that our role here is to
Not
basically,
to pay
is to
bills.
approve outgoing funds from a district budget. That's what we're doing. We're not looking at whether a payment is appropriate for a particular vendor. We need to just agree that we're gonna allow for district monies to go out.
But then when you vote on something that you're not 100% in agreement with, you know, when there's taxpayer money and I represent my constituents, I'm going to stand for what I want to say, and I'm going to vote no on something. So in a situation like that, since this one could be separated out on this specific issue, I don't think it's that big of a deal, and it doesn't seem to be a quorum, and it would be great if we did have quorum. Because then we can go back and look at it, maybe have some of this stuff reviewed, since we are the board members and we are approving the things that administration is doing and schools are doing.
Right.
We're not rubber stampers, we're gonna question things and we're gonna look at things.
But the
That's
Folk
our job.
Institute,
My job.
the
is
Folk
represent my
Institute
constituents. And
is
that's
a
what I'm doing.
consulting, research, and training firm that develops, designs, and deploys diversity, equity, and inclusion programs to help individuals and organizations acquire the skills and insights needed to achieve success in today's global workplace.
Yes, I'm
So
so glad you brought that up.
if that's part of our, we have a D&I initiative here, we're working with our teachers to be diverse, have equality and equity in their classrooms, and this is a decision that the administrative team has made to provide these resources to our teachers to have an inclusive environment in our schools or amongst each other in the workplace. If we've already empowered that team to make that decision, to provide those services without question because that's their jobs, how can we line item and vote against a bill, paying of a bill that we've already contracted and administration has signed for approved services?
But as an individual board member, she has the right to question something and ask. Just as every month, Mr. Chapman takes 12.9 through 12.13 and votes no, which doesn't support our BA. So it's the same thing.
But he's voting on the entire line
I don't
item.
care if it's an entire item or one
Okay,
item.
but then the point of the matter is I can vote no on the bills list, and if there's a quorum that votes no on the bills list, then what? You're not.
But that's the point. What's the
difference if I
protocol?
vote no on the line item or vote on a check
But
number?
it's, how would we move forward if there was a quorum to not pay an individual bill?
Exactly.
What is the policy or what is the procedure?
And that is what we would question our attorney for and our BA
And
at
that's
the point
why
in
we're
time.
tapping
And it could happen.
To put a no to the check number and make life easier.
Similar to how if the board secretary's report, if anyone were to vote no, there's been plenty of abstentions. But if someone were to vote no, I have to notify the county office. And the county superintendent would then be contacting that board member to ask them why they don't have confidence in that board secretary report.
Correct.
I would imagine we would be in the same type of scenario if someone were to vote no on the bills list. We're contractually obligated to pay these, and now the county office is going to get involved. So That's, I believe, the road that we would end up.
Yeah, if we were going on that road, can I chime in?
Sure.
Oh, yes.
Please.
Thank you,
I'd love to,
President.
but I'm not allowed. On this topic, I'm
President.
gonna be the lay guy.
I think this gets to the nature of board action and the nature of board membership. Each member here is elected by your constituents to discern their wishes for this school district. That's what you're saying, or I believe. Not speaking for you.
No, that's okay.
You're not rubber stamping. You're not being asked to rubber stamp. A no vote on a bill that you feel where services were not rendered is appropriate. A no vote on service that we have a disagreement about, I think then gets to the difference between making sure the district's well administered in the policy-making role and the programmatic role, and the discerning the wishes of the community role and nature of board members. And I think when we talk here about, hey, what work did this group do? What was the criteria that was used to select this group? Who determines that criteria? How does this align with district goals? How does, and to that end, when we're talking about here, what I understand to be professional development, correct? How do we pick professional development? Right?
Yes.
And how is that aligned to district goals and curriculum and board goals that have been established in other ways? And that's something that is totally appropriate, 30,000 foot, for the board to say, let's talk about that in committee. Not this vendor specifically, but let's talk about how we do this. Forward thinking.
Okay.
That is entirely within the role of you elected officials to have a conversation about that. And that's how I would view this.
That's a great, it's
Yeah,
a great
that's
point,
what I
great
thought. Yeah,
opportunity.
that's a great question, because I think that was like one of the reasons of how this developed and how it got to this point with it, you know, with the funding and with the taxpayer money and with the learning loss. And I understand how the, you know, the American Rescue Plan Act works and what it can be used for. And, you know, when you look at number 12 about the learning loss with the students, I think the money would have been spent someplace better. So maybe that could be a great conversation we can discuss.
Wait, was this,
So,
is
but
this
the-
bill,
but
or
the-
is
but the-
this, are funds paying for this Folk Institute from a certain grant or funding we received, or is this an actual, it's a staff development, we've decided to deploy this service to be in line with our district goals for DE&I, and I mean, can we question, is that within our, you know, our authority to question the decisions of a administration to who they deploy for staff development?
If the question to me is this in line with our district goals, the answer is yes.
So the
As
Folk
far as
Institute
the-
represents,
As far as the ARP, I would not.
represents our district
Right, right.
goals. It's been determined that it's a program that is beneficial to our staff by the people that we have put in place to do so.
And that's our job.
And that's our job. Our job should not be to vote down an individual bill because you don't align personally with that vendor. Our job should be, is what I'm understanding John to say, is how do we select these vendors and what is the vetting process, or how does it, like John said, align with our district goals, not whether or not we personally agree with the selection of that particular vendor.
Wait, we just went in circles.
We didn't go in
John,
circles.
thank
What
you.
John, what John is saying is that
No,
when we
I
get to
understand
the,
what
when we
John's
get to the bills list, a no vote should be on the level of, we are paying the wrong amount to this vendor, not that we disagree with the payment of the bill. Right, because at this, the conversation of whether we should be, you know, contracting with the vendors, a more holistic conversation of saying, going forward, how is the school doing personal development, and do we think that's in the best interest of the teachers and the programs? But at this level, we shouldn't be saying, I don't want to pay this because I don't agree with it. It's sort of too late in some respects.
Now, I have a question. In what committee
Is
would
that
this
sort of a
this
layman's-
topic be discussed?
It's
So
actually
as a
been-
committee,
It's been referred to curriculum. right?
curriculum? Okay.
And
Okay, so
professional development
curriculum.
as a whole and what our priorities are.
So that's where any of these questions we have going forward would be brought up and discussed and then put forward if we need a vote from curriculum committee. Okay.
Now, and not to kind of belabor a point, Katie, but just kind of to go back with Brian's vote, and is there ramifications to this board that we have an individual who votes no to every report that you issue?
Like I said, if he voted no, I would have to report it to the executive county superintendent.
So it gets reported every
He's been
meeting?
abstaining.
He abstains,
So
okay.
Oh, he's
being that
abstaining.
it's an abstention and he's pulling his vote out of the mix, it's just,
Okay, so if it was a no, it would be a different
a
story
removal of his vote,
because
right.
he's decided to abstain. And John, can you define the definition of abstention again?
I think we just, go ahead. I'm happy to do it, but.
I mean, do you want to go down this road? You're in charge of the meeting. Respectfully.
Well, okay, so because he's doing it, I think it's probably good that we all understand what's happening. So why don't we understand, what does it do to our quorum?
I don't know if that was necessarily the question.
Wasn't the question?
Well, but I think once you start, if we all abstain, I think it was an abstention due in terms of, can we still obtain a quorum and doing a quorum of votes of a yes,
Right.
no? I
It-
guess
it-
that's
But
right.
are there
waiting.
ramifications to
We're
the
waiting.
board as a whole?
Yeah.
With this
Right,
continuum
with
for the last
continual
year?
abstention or the continual.
And it's no support for the board, for the BA. It does not show you unilateral support for our BA.
But neither does the questioning of each individual check though.
The question,
One
any
time I
question.
question a check?
I think what checks
hold on.
have been questioned before,
Yeah.
Nicole.
But I think if
I
a
really
board-
don't think it's just today.
I'm not saying just today, I'm just saying when a board member is questioning, yes, you should be questioning, okay? And you're, yes, and asking those questions, you ask the simple question, asking.
There
about the
wasn't a
vote.
question asked today about the Folk Institute. The question, what happened today during vote was that there were individuals who voted against a specific check number. There weren't questions as to why that vendor was chosen. There wasn't questions as to what benefit it posed to the district. It was a line item vote, no.
And there was
So-
conversations that had happened prior to coming to the table with administration regarding that. So
And
thank
And
you.
perhaps.
But I think this is not, we're going out of our roles, and I think this is something that administration should be discussing with a board member, not another board member attacking another
Hold on,
board
hold
member.
on,
Not
hold on.
attacking,
No,
that's
we're
not
just
an
trying to
attack.
understand it.
I'm
Let's
trying to
not-
get clarification
Yeah.
here. This isn't an attack.
I think-
What I'm trying to understand is what our role is, and can we minutia down to check numbers? Can we where is it appropriate to question payment of bills? And are we within our rights as a board member or as a board in whole to, go down and drill into vendors? And then the other question that I had is an abstention or a no vote. Obviously, it's not a no vote, it's an abstention. How does that continual abstention impact our board? Whether it's, you said on the county level, if it's a no, but an abstention, what does that
Well,
do?
why don't you ask Mr. Chapman why he's abstaining? You have the right as a board member to ask another board member why they are voting the way they are voting.
Well, and then I would also ask Nicole, why are you opposed to the
She's
Folk
told
Institute?
you. I told you.
Okay, hold on, time out.
I don't
So
know.
hold on, time out.
So have we voted on 12 yet?
So have we-
No.
I mean, why don't we do this in new business? This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, so let's,
I have the vote.
you have the vote, right? Is anybody,
We're allowed
and we had
no
abstentions?
votes on the
So I think everything
check
passed, right? Everything passed? Yes, okay. So I agree, this is the top 3 new business on both 12-9 and 12-13. I think what I will say in summary, right, is it's not our job as a board to pick and choose specifically every single thing the school does on a day-to-day basis. That is not our job as a board, right? And we were told this by our attorneys during the ethics of the first day of our board meetings, that our job is not to run schools, right? Our job is to oversee schools. When we start going down into every single thing they do, right, they know better than we do, right? I think it is appropriate to ask holistically, what is the plan for teacher development, right? And that's not inappropriate. It's not inappropriate to ask holistically, how much money are we spending on teacher development? Maybe it's not enough money. But then to ask Rich to tell me every single choice he makes, that's not our job, right? At some point we have to let them run the schools. At the level of running bills is not the point at which, if I'm understanding John's comment, it's at a bill's level. If the amount is incorrect, then we should be voting no. But at this stage, this is not the point to dispute it. We should be disputing this before we contract with someone.
That was my question.
I don't have a comment on 12, 10, 12, 13. If we can have that conversation. Okay, community relations.
Okay. Community relations, we didn't meet this month. We meet every other month, but we have 2 items to vote on, and they are our standard coming. This is the time of year we vote on overnight field trips, and we have on the agenda item the 13.1, which is Model UN, the North Hunterdon cheerleaders, the North Hunterdon wrestling team, and the youth and government clubs. There are their overnight trips, so we'll be voting on those. And everything is in the agenda there. And then the other line item is 13.2. It's a proposal for the photography club at Voorhees High School. And if you've looked at the proposal, it follows all of the criteria that we've put in place in policy of the board to have a new club proposal. So we would, I would, welcome everyone to vote on that, so we can see the budding photographers up at Voorhees. And that's it.
Just one question. Do these, does 13.2 already get money, or does that sort of happen?
I believe they usually start as a volunteer.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, there's no money on this.
I didn't see
And then they
money
go in a
amount.
queue as other clubs lose interest and
Okay,
drop.
okay. I just didn't see
Yeah,
money on it. I wasn't.
that'll be under when we vote, if there's monies involved.
Okay,
This is
okay, yeah,
just the
just- okay.
proposal, and then if there's an opening, they move up and they can
Yeah,
get
okay,
paid.
okay.
These
I
are
just didn't see
volunteer
it.
right now, yeah.
Do we have a lab here for photography, or?
Everything's digital now.
But I wonder, but Voorhees has the broadcasting, right? Would they have a lab there? I
We
mean,
used to have a dark room up
Right?
there, yeah, it was great, but I don't know if they have anymore. Dark rooms are,
My son would love
You missed
that.
it.
I know, dark rooms are,
You should have said it was in the basement.
it's in the basement.
Or-
Oh, no,
or on the fourth floor.
it's on the 4th floor with
There
a
you go.
pool, yeah.
Yeah, at the pool.
I got it. So, but anyway, so those are our 2 items, and we do have to vote on them.
Okay, so any more questions on that? All right, so I need a call for motion second to approve agenda items 13.1 and 13.2.
So moved.
Second.
You got that?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so moved. Were the delegates, were there meetings this past
We
week?
have a meeting on Monday, September
Monday.
30th.
Right,
It's
okay.
virtual, you can join virtually, or you can participate live. Dinner will be served, and there's that, we were just saying the QR code
The
now.
QR
They're not
code,
doing-
yes.
I feel like I'm going to the market, yeah, but, yeah. It's
At the
on, and it's
chalet.
on.
Chalet,
Egg,
right.
so-
It's at
Yeah,
the
that
chalet, yeah,
starts-
they
starts at 6,
alternate North County and then South
Right.
County, so it's up.
So it's the
in
first
our
of the year.
neighborhood.
It's our first one
10
of the
p.m.
year.
No, for us delegates,
Yeah.
it's December 7th.
December, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to send an email once we get, if we want to put any resolutions, but when they have all of the resolutions that are coming in, I'll send you guys an email to the link to
It's
look
the
at.
7th?
December 7th, yeah, it's
Oh, I
late this
thought-
year.
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
really late.
Is it usually November?
Yeah, it's usually just before Thanksgiving, that Saturday usually just before the Thanksgiving, but this year, the Board of Directors is like that time. I think maybe because school boards is later in October, and so, yeah, the 7th.
Personnel?
Personnel committee met on the 16th, and we discussed the personnel agenda.
Perfect. So I need a call for motion second to adopt resolution 092424-2 for executive session to discuss matters falling under categories 4, 7, and 8 as reflected in the attached resolution. The board expects to be in executive session for approximately 1 hour, and upon return to public session, action will be taken. First,
So moved.
Tara, Beth, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? We are in executive session. call for a motion and second to reconvene public session.
So moved.
Yes,
Second.
Tara, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're back in public session. Okay, so I need a call for a motion and second to approve agenda item 8.1 and 8.2 and 8.3. 8.3 being a hand carry. 8.1 is our agenda from the September 24th meeting. 8.2 are, I'm sorry, 8.1 is our personnel agenda from September 24th meeting tonight. 8.2 is our minutes from our August 13th meeting. And 8.3, be resolved that upon recommendation of the board's negotiating committee and the acting superintendent to approve and adopt the MOA agreed upon between the board and the NHVRHSDAA for the period 2024 to 2025 through 2027-2028. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Tara?
Second.
And Beth? And I need a roll call vote.
Ms. Cagnon?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Hintz?
Yes.
Ms. Cotran?
Yes.
Mr. Bekajik?
Yes.
Mr. Meelan?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Salino?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Ms. Beato?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
I thought you mumbled. Yes, I approve.
Mr. Herman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, any older new business?
A minor thing,
No, okay.
real quick, I'd like perhaps the finance committee or just the administration to consider with all this capital money that Katie has made sure is still on the books. The tennis court, North Hunterdon tennis court fence that's facing the new building needs to be twice as high as it is now, and I think it'll pay for itself in reduce missing tennis balls.
Yeah.
Just take
There
a
you
look
go.
at it.
Just FYI, right, one of our goals was to have a session to implement board norms, which was Gwen's right up to us. So I reached out to Gwen to see if we can arrange a 30 or 45 minute meeting prior to one of our future board meetings, so if that's okay with everybody. So still trying to get a date with her, and I'll circulate. Maybe we can do a Google, whatever.
Can we do a virtual?
That's probably easier, it's fine. John, yeah.
As a subcommittee or a forum?
Yeah, I don't,
Oh, can we do that?
yeah, unfortunately, the board doesn't meet fully.
Fair enough, as long as we can.
Virtually anymore.
Oh, that's right.
I was thinking we could do before our board meeting,
Yeah.
like
So
6:30.
like at 6:30.
Right.
Which is
Mhm.
Saturday.
Yeah, that would
Okay.
Well, let me see what our availability is, and then we can send around a form and see if everybody's good. So that's just an update. Okay. Anything else?
But I have stuff.
Oh, sorry.
And that was relation to the board goals.
Yes.
Just looking at the strategic plan, are we going to invite Gwen to start that? Or what are we implementing?
We're currently evaluating proposals, one of those being school boards, but we have a couple other
Okay.
entities that also do that.
Sorry, I
We're trying to-
assumed they were doing it.
We did the same thing for the demographic studies. I'm going to have a recommendation for you for October on that. Once they start the ball rolling on that, then I'll have a recommendation in November on who we want to use for strategic planning, which would probably start in January, and we'll have the demographic information for that, which is important.
Okay, great. Okay. And then I just wanted to note, I noted in policy, I made note to Bethlehem, Franklin, Union communities are talking about regionalization. So a lot of people didn't know, I didn't even know about it. And I'm looking at scrolling through my Bethlehem page. And they did meet, and a letter was sent out. I'll forward this to everyone. It's just introducing, they were writing to provide an update on the results of the recent regionalization study and the next steps in the process. Bethlehem, had reached out as well. I was unsure, I think it was more of a Union Franklin, but, and I know this is something that I said to you, and John can attest, it takes a long time. I mean, we saw South Hunterdon, and it's a long time, but there's a lot of red tape, and there's also a lot of, I guess, tentacles to that, that you have to deal with.
So, but it said, following the presentation, the presidents and vice presidents of school boards from Bethlehem, Franklin, and Union met to gauge interest in moving forward with regionalization discussions. It was unanimously agreed that further discussions are necessary and each district will address this topic at their regularly scheduled board meetings in September and October to gather feedback from the community. While these discussions continue, all three boards expressed an interest in exploring shared services between the districts where appropriate as a potential benefit regardless of regionalization, which I think they've been doing and we've been doing with our sending districts as well. It's important to note that the board's role in this process is to facilitate discussions and determine if an option would be brought to the community to vote. For regionalization to move forward, each district's board must pass a resolution. Once this is memorialized, the New Jersey Department of Education must provide initial approval, and then the proposal will be placed on a ballot for a community referendum. And they're asking for input. So those of you, Union, I would recommend, I'm going to be going to my town meeting and my local board meetings. So is there any way we can, are you scheduled to have a?
There was one last night. I'll check the minutes to see. I didn't see it on the agenda for last night.
Okay.
I'm sorry, yeah, last night.
But
I can go to the one.
Is our exec board scheduled? Did you guys put a meeting together for with our signing
We actually
districts?
need to schedule next. I think we're doing it. So
Because that would probably be a better forum to be
attend
discussing this, so you get information to bring
I
back to
can
our
also
board.
attend Union's meeting just to see it with their.
Yeah, and
the
somebody could
discussions.
attend Franklin.
I don't know. I can go down.
Who's Franklin?
Yeah, Franklin.
Jess and I.
Yeah, that would be great.
Now, you're talking about their school board meeting.
They're sending districts, so we're talking
This-
about.
The K-8.
Yep.
K-8, yeah.
Are they talking about regionalizing with each other, or are they talking about regionalizing under North Voorhees?
No, with each other.
No, with each other.
I had the impression, because it was news to me too, right? We learned like hour, it was crazy.
Shared services.
Yes, we learned on social media.
Yeah, a little bit,
It was
yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of, but this came out from the township.
Yeah, that's right. We got a formal letter.
Yeah.
I think it's the three towns that are trying to work together. That's my understanding.
And do we, I know there's that representation element there, but you're not asking us to liaise on this topic.
Nope, I'm suggesting, recommending as that's your constituency, that also, and that's your local school board to go and find out and hear what's going on. Because I didn't know anything about this. I would have been like to sit in and hear what they're discussing. It's important, that's your local sending district.
Yeah, I'm just going to listen and see if I can publish a report back what I hear. So, and I'll look at the meeting from last night.
Thanks, Glenn.
And then the next roundtable meeting would be.
We can probably shoot for October, right?
Yeah, October would be good.
Because we haven't went over the summer, so we can schedule that.
And that's not something that had bubbled up recently at that forum?
That did not.
This would be new.
The only thing we had discussed at that one was just the fact that the high schools can offer services to them, and I think that even that was news to many of the schools that we were doing that. So.
In the past, though, there has been discussions from the sending districts for regionalization, but not with each other.
Yeah,
but with
us.
the whole
Right.
and us.
Well, I remember when I was on CPS, there was outreach when Franklin was looking to share the superintendent. They were reaching out to the sister districts to see if anybody was interested.
Right.
Yeah, Franklin and Union already do some degree, right?
Yeah, that's common knowledge.
Right,
They've been sharing and
to help control costs.
bartering and back and
that,
forth.
to your knowledge, hasn't extended to Bethlehem yet?
I don't know. I'm not going to say nay or yay. I'm going to attend their meeting, and like I said, this was up on our Bethlehem page. So I had seen it previous to the policy meeting, and that's when I brought it up in policy, just to let everybody know that wow, I just saw this from,
Question regarding, I believe there was going to be a tour of the.
Oh, that's right.
So yes, actually, I did confirm with Todd Bonsall today, so before the October 15th board meeting, he's willing to come out. He can come out at 5:30. We're going to do 6, but that might be cutting it close to do a tour and then still be back here for our 7 o'clock meeting.
Okay.
So if we do 5:30, I will send an invite out to everybody. If you can just say yes if you can be here, no if you can't. That way we'll have an accurate count of, we have to make sure we have enough hard hats because we have to wear them.
Oh, can I wear mine from the groundbreaking?
You can, if you have one for the groundbreaking, that's the one I will be wearing, but just in case somebody doesn't have a hard hat, we can obtain some other ones for people to wear, so.
I think I own mine still.
So, and hopefully it's drier like it is now, because if we get rain, and that's going to turn into a mud pit. But, again, we're appropriate footwear and get through anything. Katie and I actually had an opportunity to go over there with him and walk through the building, and it was interesting to see. You can see the programs and how they're going to be laid out. It's fascinating.
They're still shooting for next fall. That's still pretty much targeted?
Right now, I think their target moved from May 2025 to June 2025.
Okay.
But it's definitely moving in that direction, so. But yes, the target is next fall, too.
You had two, John, or that was it?
That was it. So I'll get that invitation out tomorrow for everybody, and then that way we can get accurate count.
Anything else? Okay, call for a motion second to adjourn.
So moved.
Jess?
Second.
Nick? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are adjourned.
Thank
you all for your time.